Title: My parents skipped my wedding because I married before my perfect sister. I'm 32, female, and I got married 8 months ago. Everyone came to the wedding, except my sister, Molin, who's 30, and my parents. Their decision to skip the event was shocking, though I wasn't too surprised by my sister's absence since we've never really gotten along. Still, looking back, I probably should have seen it coming. To give context, here's a bit about our family dynamics. I can't entirely blame my parents for favoring my sister. She's always excelled at everything and has been the center of attention wherever she went. From the time she could walk, she won spelling bees, science fairs, and talent shows. In high school, she was class president, valedictorian, and prom queen. She's tall, slender, and attractive, which led her to pursue modeling in college before focusing on her business degree. I remember her first modeling job in her sophomore year. To celebrate, our parents hosted a lavish party with family and friends. Her first professional headshot still hangs in our living room, above the fireplace. The same year I graduated in computer science, they barely acknowledged my achievement, muttering a quick, "well done," before moving on to plan her next photo shoot. After college, Molin quickly climbed the corporate ladder. She now holds a corner office and has a company car at just 30, making her a senior executive. Meanwhile, I work at a respectable company as a mid-level software developer. I enjoy my work, but it's not the kind of career that inspires parental pride in front of others. Physically, I'm bigger and shorter than my sister. My mother often made unkind comments about my appearance, enrolled me in workouts I didn't want, and put me on diets. She'd say things like, "Molin never struggles with her weight," or "you could look as nice as your sister if you just tried harder." By high school, I'd learned to ignore it, but it left a lasting impact. Over time, I accepted that my parents never celebrated my achievements the way they did Molin's. For years, I tried to gain their approval, joining recommended classes, signing up for clubs, even attempting modeling briefly. Nothing was ever enough. I was simply the second daughter, and their admiration was reserved for Molin. By my mid-20s, I gave up trying to impress them. I focused on building my own life, growing professionally on my own terms, and forming meaningful relationships with people who valued me. This approach improved our interactions. Knowing my parents cared deeply about appearances, I kept things superficial during family gatherings, nodding politely while they gushed over Molin's latest job, partner, or vacation. They didn't seem to notice my emotional distance. At a computer conference, I met my spouse through a mutual friend. Unlike my family, he truly noticed me. He appreciated my dry humor, my coding skills, and yes, even my body type. From the start, he never suggested I change or compared me to anyone. We dated for 4 years and eventually got engaged while enjoying a quiet night at home. When I told my parents about the engagement last year, their reaction was telling. There was no congratulations, only silence. My mother asked if I was sure about marrying, suggesting I improve my appearance before the wedding. My father stayed quiet. Later, my husband overheard them on the phone with Molin, who was crying. They expressed that this wasn't how things were supposed to happen. They never expected me to marry first. Even before I was engaged, my mother had made countless Pinterest boards for Molin's wedding and showed no interest in helping me. When I chose my dress, a simple but elegant A-line gown, I received practical approval from my mother, but all the real planning was done with my future mother-in-law, who treated me like a daughter. I carefully checked the guest list with my spouse, sending both electronic and physical invitations. I confirmed the electronic ones had red receipts, so I know my parents received theirs. Yet their RSVPs never came. Emails, calls, and texts were ignored or met with excuses about being busy. I didn't let it worry me. My in-laws supported me through every detail, from seating maps to floral arrangements. Even at the bridal shower hosted by my husband's sister, I didn't dwell on my family's absence. The wedding day was beautiful. We held a relaxed afternoon celebration in a garden. Guests complimented how happy and in love we looked. But there were moments where the absence of my parents and sister felt painfully real. Empty front row seats, the father-daughter dance I couldn't share. After the honeymoon, I reached out. My parents claimed they were hurt because they never received a formal invitation. When I confirmed both electronic and physical invitations had been sent, I didn't argue. I simply apologized and ended the call. Later, my husband pointed out patterns that revealed their true feelings, their surprise at our engagement, their reluctance to help with planning. The truth became clear. My being married before Molen was unacceptable to them. It confirmed what I had long suspected. They would never see me as equal to my sister. The saddest part? Even my wedding day, meant to celebrate love and new beginnings, became another opportunity for them to preserve their perfect family image with Molen at the center. Now, Molen has recently engaged herself, and I can only wonder how my parents will react this time. Title: My parents accused me of ruining my sister's wedding. Molen has been dating for about a year. From what I've learned through family group chats, ones I don't participate in, my parents are openly excited about planning a lavish wedding for her. They're already boasting about upscale venues and luxury gowns, and my mother is taking Molen to private fittings, mother-daughter time I was never allowed. Interestingly, many of our relatives are now hesitant to attend Molen's wedding or engagement party. Apparently, my parents' behavior at my wedding became a hot topic in the family. When relatives ask me why my parents skipped my wedding, I tell them what I believe is true. They couldn't handle me marrying before their beloved daughter. I share the facts as I see them, without exaggeration or seeking sympathy. A few days ago, my parents contacted me, accusing me of trying to sabotage Molen's wedding. They claimed that relatives were using my past experiences as an excuse to avoid attending her events. My cousin, to whom my sister had vented, said some guests were reluctant to attend because of how my parents treated me. My parents insist that I'm spreading false stories out of jealousy over Molen's upcoming wedding. The problem is, I've only been telling the truth. Maybe they should reflect on their behavior rather than blame me for the consequences. As things continue to unfold, maintaining the appearance of a close relationship with my parents is becoming increasingly difficult. Their behavior at my wedding finally confirmed that no matter what I do, I will never be enough for them. The hardest part isn't their absence at the wedding, it's realizing I never had the supportive, encouraging parents I always wanted. I'm now focusing on building a life with someone who truly values me. I'll keep updates if anything significant changes. First update, 2 weeks later. A lot has happened. I decided to confront my parents face to face about their actions at my wedding and their accusations that I ruined Molen's special day. After reading your supportive comments, I felt it was time to be honest with them. During the call, my parents immediately accused me of jealousy and claimed I had orchestrated everything. For the first time, I responded differently. Instead of defending myself, I said, "You're right. I am envious. Not of Molen's career, accomplishments, or appearance. I'm envious of the unwavering love and support you've shown her, which you never showed me." There was a pause. My mother claimed I was exaggerating and insisted they had always treated us equally. At that moment, years of repressed feelings poured out. I reminded them of birthdays overshadowed by Molen's achievements, the way my mother canceled my high school graduation dinner for a modeling call, and how my prom outfit cost far less than what they spent on Molen. I spoke about the wedding, the vacant seats, the planning my mother ignored, and how my mother-in-law had to step in. Their response? They turned it back on me. "Why didn't you speak up?" my mother asked, as if I hadn't tried for years. My father claimed discussing these feelings with family was unfair and spiteful. My mother then made a statement that clarified everything. "We never imagined you would go to such lengths to ruin Molen's wedding out of spite, but we always knew you were insecure about her success." It became clear they couldn't acknowledge their actions or how I felt. Their focus remained on Molen's wedding, not the hurt they caused me. For the first time, I didn't try to repair anything. I didn't apologize or retract my words. I told them clearly, "You taught me that I would never measure up, that Molen's achievements always mattered more than mine, and that your ideal family image was more important than my feelings. But you also taught me that I deserve better, even if you didn't intend to." There was a long pause before my father spoke, calm and composed. "Maybe it's time to stop acting like we're bad parents since you've already decided we are, and you obviously take." Title: Facing my parents and sister after my wedding. Pleasure in seeing us suffer. Since you are family, we assumed you would assist in resolving this issue, but it is clear that you have made your own decisions, my father said. The final blow came from my mother. Perhaps you simply couldn't cope with not being the center of attention. Even though we always tried to treat you fairly, Rebecca, that's not our fault. You chose to play the victim. I didn't argue. Why would it matter? Everything I had been saying was validated by their inability to accept responsibility. Even in this last conversation, I hung up and said goodbye. To my surprise, I felt relieved. There were tears, but they weren't the frantic, heartbreaking ones from my childhood. They were freeing. For the first time, I expressed everything I needed to say without holding back or feeling guilty. Later, my husband joined me on the back porch as I watched the sunset. He took my hand without saying a word. They're never going to change, are they? I asked. No, he said, but you have, and that's what counts. He was right. The young child who had frantically sought parental approval is gone. They no longer need to validate the woman I've become. Acknowledging that my parents will never be what I needed is painful, but less painful than holding out hope that they might change. I no longer worry about my sister's wedding or family drama. I've spoken my truth, and now they have to face the consequences. For the first time, I felt the weight I had carried my entire life lift. It's not the happy ending I wanted with my parents, but it might be the one I needed, the freedom to stop striving for a love that should have been unconditional. Second update 3 days later. 3 days after confronting my parents, things took an unexpected turn. Mullen decided to insert herself into the situation, but her approach backfired. Yesterday morning, she sent me a carefully worded text. Her tone, condescending as always, was clear. What you said to our parents was inappropriate. They have supported us in every stage of our lives. You cannot blame them for being bad parents just because you are insecure about your own choices. Your wedding wasn't perfect, but that doesn't give you the right to try to ruin mine. Celebrations honor those of us who put in effort and meet certain standards. I didn't respond. Interacting with her only provides more ammunition. Years of manipulative behavior taught me that. So, I blocked her number. Of course, Mullen doesn't tolerate being ignored. A few hours later, my husband, laughing so hard he could barely speak, called to tell me she had contacted him instead. She found his personal number, probably through a mutual acquaintance, and sent a long series of messages explaining why our sister relationship has always been difficult. She began professionally as Rebecca's sister, who cared deeply about the family. But it quickly revealed her true aim. She wanted him to help me behave appropriately as the new man in my life. The texts became patronizing, suggesting that as a sensitive software architect, I might not understand the bigger picture, and that he should guide me to avoid harming family relationships. The kicker was her attempt to appeal to his ambition. Surely you understand that maintaining good relationships with successful family members like myself could be beneficial for your future. Rebecca's actions are harming both her and, by extension, yours. My spouse, who has always seen through Mullen's facade, found the messages hilarious. He particularly enjoyed her assumption that business rank and networking opportunities would impress him. She really doesn't know me at all, he said. We went through the messages together that evening. Instead of being offended, we laughed. Witnessing her manipulative tactics fail on someone immune to them was liberating. This encounter revealed something important about Mullen. Despite all her achievements, she's still the insecure adolescent who needs to tear others down to feel superior. When her direct approach failed, she immediately tried to use my husband against me, just as she had tried to turn my friends against me in high school. Different decade, same strategies. Title: How I Finally Broke Free from My Family's Drama. Now it's clear how Mullen's actions went beyond typical sibling rivalry. Throughout our early years, she worked hard to remain the favorite child, constantly reminding our parents, and me, how much better she was. She had to overshadow everything I accomplished and highlight my shortcomings to everyone I befriended. My response to her tactics is very different now. 10 years ago, her messages would have triggered self-doubt. 5 years ago, I might have been upset. Today, I find her attempts at manipulation almost amusing. My husband's response was perfect. Rather than getting drawn into her drama, he simply said, "Thank you for your concern about Rebecca's well-being. As her husband, I focus on supporting her happiness, not managing her behavior. I think it's best if you direct any future concerns to Rebecca directly. Have a nice day." Molin sent one final message, warning, "I see she's poisoned you against the family too. Don't say I didn't try to help when this blows up in your faces." Ironically, her attempt to help only strengthened my resolve to keep my distance from our family's destructive dynamics. Nothing has changed about her. She remains the same controlling individual who insists on dictating every story and sees any deviation from her ideal family script as a threat. The most satisfying part? Her attempts failed completely, bringing my husband and me closer instead of driving us apart. Unbothered by her social posturing, we laughed at her messages and planned a weekend trip together. I've learned that true family isn't about facades or controlling narratives. It's about standing together, laughing, and supporting each other, even when someone, even your own sister, tries to manipulate you. I'm more certain than ever that staying out of Molin's wedding drama is the healthiest choice. My husband and I are focusing on building our own happiness. Success is often called the best revenge, but I've realized that real success isn't impressing others. It's accepting your choices and surrounding yourself with people who encourage your growth. By that measure, I feel more successful than ever. Third update. 2 weeks after my sister's failed attempt to control my husband, the situation took an unexpected turn. Despite my parents' frantic attempts to repair their image, things are only worsening. They've been calling relatives separately, accusing me of spreading lies out of jealousy over Molin's supposedly perfect wedding. According to their story, I intentionally excluded them from my wedding to play the victim. It's ironic. They still live in the same home they've had for 30 years and use the same emails, yet they claim I sent invitations to outdated addresses. The good news? Their efforts are failing. Many family members are sharing their own experiences of my parents' favoritism. One aunt even confirmed that my mother used similar tactics at past weddings to ensure Molin remained the center of attention. The most rewarding outcome? Some important family members have now stopped supporting Molin's wedding. Even a family friend's luxury garment business is experiencing scheduling conflicts at a family gathering. Recently, a relative innocently asked about my wedding photos, which triggered my mother's jealousy. She launched a defensive tirade about how I'd changed after marriage and was trying to destroy the family, backfiring spectacularly and exposing her true behavior to relatives who were previously unaware. Every time my parents try to justify their absence from my wedding, they reveal more about themselves. Family members are noticing their deception, and people who once remained neutral are now picking sides. Even my father's brother, who had always stayed silent to maintain peace, apologized for not speaking up sooner and decided not to attend any of Molin's wedding events. I no longer need to explain or justify myself. The truth is handling it. Molin and my parents consistently expose their own destructive behavior whenever they try to manipulate the narrative. All those years of silently enduring their favoritism were simply ways of enabling their manipulation. As my husband wisely said, they spent years constructing a facade of the perfect family, but it was built on emotional manipulation and bias. Now that facade is crumbling. Personally, I feel freer than ever. I no longer worry about seeking my parents' approval, controlling Molin's reactions, or maintaining their idealized image. For the first time, I've realized that letting the truth speak for itself can be the best form of revenge. I'm deeply grateful to Reddit for giving me the courage to advocate for myself. Sometimes, seeing genuine family support from strangers online is what it takes to find your own strength. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more real-life stories happening around you.